everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This week we're gonna start again with the Make What You See sewing classes. And the sweater that I'm wearing now I made a few years ago, and it's one of my favorites because the material is very nice. It is very warm but not too thick, because when you have a thick material you get restricted a little bit in your movements. And this is made out of a Minky Fleece, and I don't know if you can see it. It has that velvety texture with bubbles on it. And that it is called a fleece, but it doesn't look like a fleece. A fleece, in my opinion, has more of a sporty look. This looks way smarter, I think. So you have more possibilities to wear this sweater than when you have a really sporty sweater. I won't recreate exactly the same as this sweater is. It has cuffs, it has this cowl neck like feature, but I'll make a different design because I don't like to have two exactly the same sweaters. But it will be a very nice one just because of the material, because I'm going to use this fleecy Minky Fleece just in a different color. And I show you how we're going to make it. It will be very quick and very simple to make, but then you have a really nice sweater for all occasions. So I noticed that it's been a while since I made my fabulous drawings. The long-time viewers know that I cannot draw at all. And for this sweater it's hardly not worth making a drawing, but I did anyway, because it will just be a very plain sweater, just straight on. I will use my pattern with a little bit of the waist going in, but you can also do it just straight on. Normal sleeves, no cuffs or whatever, just your normal sleeve. And I make a sort of a small turtleneck. I'm not a fan of the high necks, so I will just make it rather small, not too tight. And we can see if we can, if we want to make adjustments to it or not. And of course you can make whatever color you like. I have been thinking about making some sort of a shirt color with the points like that, but I thought, well, it's not matching the fabric. But I thought this is so plain. But then again, the fabric is so beautiful, you can get away with just a very plain design. So it will be like this. So for the fabric I have this beautiful grey, silvery Minky Fleece, a very nice fabric. You can also get it, at least in my country, in an Ecotex a piece, so that it is made eco-friendly and usually also with recycled material. So it's a very nice fabric to use, very warm, and it is more like a velvety than really fleece. And don't know if you can see it, it's very soft, it doesn't pill, and the bubbles make it just very beautiful fabric. Then the pattern, it is very simple. You will need your basic pattern for a top or a dress. I will leave it down in the description box and here in the upper right corner, where you can find the video how to make that pattern to your own sizing. It's very easy, you can just draw along with me, and then you have this pattern that you can use over and over and over again, because we always use this as the basic and then we make the adjustments to that pattern. So when you have this, you can just make anything for a top or a dress. So we'll use that. But the only thing that we're going to change, or what I will change, is the length, because it will not be a dress or a top. So I just fold it under the piece of the dress that I'm not going to use. I make my sweater fairly long, because I like that more than a short or a cropped sweater. But you can of course make any size that you like. If you want your sweater to be more boxy, you can just make your side seam just straight down. I like it to have a little bit of a waist, because I'm very short, and when it's a little bit more waisted in, it looks better on me. But you can also just make a straight side seam, and then it's even easier to draw. Neckline will just be the same, at least for me. I will just put a sort of turtleneck on top of it. It will just be a straight collar. So I will leave it like this, but you can of course make it higher or lower, whatever you prefer. But just we use our basic pattern for a top or dress. And then again, very easy, we use our basic pattern for a sleeve. I will also link that down below and here in the upper right corner. And the only thing that I will do for this is I fold it in here a bit of the sides, because I don't make a cuff for the sleeve. It will be just straight on with a hem. and I like to be the bottom of my sleeve, at least for my arm, around 25 centimeters. So I just folded it in a bit of the width that I don't want, and I'll show you from the other side. I just fold it in here to the underarm, just going to that point, and also on this side. So then you can make your sleeve a little bit smaller all the way down. You can also do it more like this, but I don't like that look, especially not for this sweater. So that will be your sleeve, and then for the collar we will just cut a rectangle that has the width of your front neck hole and your back neck hole times 2, of course, and it will be just a straight rectangle in that size. And maybe I will change something up about that, but you will hear that later. I'll just start with that and I'll see how it looks, whether I want to change it or not. And that collar we will double up, so it's a double folded rectangle for the collar. So I cut my pieces, and what I always do is, because our basic pattern is really the size of our body, and we don't want a sweater to be really tight. Well, you can, but I don't. So what I do, if I want a more looser fit, I'll just add 2 centimeters to my seam allowance. And that means when I sew, I just use my normal seam allowance, that is 1 centimeter. And that means that all my patterns here, where I want the width, so the side seams, have 2 centimeters extra for all the patterns. So the left and the right side of the front, and the left and the right side of the back. So then you have 8 centimeters in total, more width than your basic pattern width, which is your body. And that normally always works very well. Sometimes I have to take it a little bit, but then you just have to sew in your seam or your side seams a bit, and then you can adjust your fit very well. So that's what I do to make it not too tight, but just give it enough. Just 2 centimeters extra of seam allowance to your side seams. So I cut my front and my back. Then I cut my sleeves, left and right of course the same. And what I do is, for the hem, because the sleeves are going in, tapered in a little bit on the bottom, I always cut my hem like this, so that it is, you can see it goes out here where the hem is, so that you don't have to stretch out your fabric where your hem is to accommodate the width of your sleeve. And you can just do that by folding over your fabric and then cut it along the side of your sleeve seam. That is for that. And then I also cut my collar, which is just the same width as the neck hole, as I said. And then I have doubled it up. It is, I want it to be 3 centimeters plus 1 centimeter seam allowance for either side. So it is for me in total, when I open it up, 8 centimeters, and then the width of my neck hole. And that's all the pieces that you need. Now we're going to start with assembling. You put your front and your back right sides together on top of each other, and you're going to spin and sew here the shoulder seams. The shoulder seams are sewn, and what you do is you place it open. So this is the front, this is the back. Then you take your sleeve and you mark where the middle of the head of your sleeve is. So I place the pin here, and you do that just by folding your sleeve nicely doubled with the sleeve seams matching, and then you put a pin here in the middle where the fold is. Then you have the middle of your sleeve, and that pin you match up with your shoulder seam that you have just sewn. And then you can pin here around in that armhole just your whole sleeve by matching it up like this, and go all the way down to the underarm. And I always like to match up first here the underarm seam or the ends, and then pinning the rest of the sleeve in, that you can nicely distribute this whole fabric into the armhole. never stretch it out, because then you get a really strange outcome. And you do the same for the other side. Just pin the head of your sleeve nicely here into your armhole and then sew that down. Now you have something like this, a back and a front with some sleeves on the top attached. And what you do is you place again the front and the back right sides together, and then you can fold the sleeves doubled, and then you can pin here the side seam going into the sleeve seam, so you have just one ongoing seam. And make sure that you here match up the shawl or the seam where the sleeves are connected, that you have them nicely put together. And from there you can pin your sleeve seam going all the way to the end, and then one of the side seams here. And always start here from the underarm point, because then you are sure that this is nicely connected, because sometimes you haven't cut your front and back pieces exactly at the same length, or the sleeve is not really straight, and this seam must really be nicely connected. So you pin that down, the whole side and the sleeve seam, same of course here on the other side, and then you can sew that together. And you see the sweater is coming together already. I told you it is very quick and very simple project this. We have to hem the bottom and the sleeves, but I will do that later. I like to first work on the neckline. So what I will do is I take my rectangle, am I in frame? And I will close that up to a circle. So just sewing these ends together. Then when I've done that, I will flip it double, and I will pin it first into my neckline, just to see if this is a nice color to me, because it's just straight on. And of course you can also cut a color more in the shape of the neck hole. So I'm just gonna try out and see how it looks. So when I've sewn here my mid back seam, I will just fold the whole collar doubled up, and then I will pin it into my neck hole like that. Of course, right sides together, pin around the edges, and then try it on and see how it looks. So I pinned the collar on, I tried it on, and it looked really nice, really good. So I'm very happy with that. If you don't like your outcome, maybe because it is standing off too much, what you can do is make here at the shoulder seam some extra seams like this, just by taking it in like that. Then you get a collar that is more close to your neck. What you also can do is cut your collar again, but then on in a curve, so that you cut it like this. The outer curve is larger than the inner curve, so that will this part be smaller than the outer part. But then you have to cut two pieces and make a seam here on the top, because of course you cannot fold it double then. But mine was very good like this. So I will sew it on, and then that is ready too. Neckband front is on, looking nice and neat. Now the only thing you have to do is hem the bottom of the shirt and the sleeves, and I will always do that by folding it in just a small bit and then folding in the rest of the hem, and you pin it down and sew it all around the bottom and your sleeves, and then your shirt is already done. The sweater in grey. It is almost really silvery now that I have it on in the light. I really like this one. The color is very different than the pink one, but I like that I have different styles. I also like this one, just plain and simple, very classic, but because of that very wearable in all occasions. And the sleeves are just normal going down. I paired it now with a skirt, and you see that also looks very nice and way different than when you would wear just a fleece sweater. I don't know, I'm not really a fan of fleece sweaters because it looks really that you're going to do some sports or something. I don't like personally fleece sweaters just for normal occasions when you're not going to do any kind of sports. And this is just a very nice and classic sweater. And as I said in the beginning, it is very nice and warm. It's really not thick, but it is, I don't know what it is, but maybe that velvety thing or something, although it is not on the inside, but it is very nice and warm, and you don't need that big chunky sweaters to have it warm, when you can have this and look very nicely dressed. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it was really quick and simple, because often I get a comment, well, you said simple, this is not simple. I hope this was, because I thought it was, and there were not really difficult steps to do, so I hope you didn't have any difficulties. If you did, just leave a comment and I get back to you. I will almost always respond the same day, and I can help you out if you had any difficulties sewing this one. And I hope you liked it, and I thank you so much for watching, and I see you again next time with a new sewing class. Bye!